Hello and welcome to another episode of the Force Friday Show, where we discuss all things Star Wars. We're going to be discussing a number of topics and headlines this week, but the primary topic, Stephen, is all about Boba Fett. It's 100% dead, confirms Kathleen Kennedy. What the hell do you make of that now, Stephen? Is this something that you're happy with? Is this something you're not so happy with? Do you care? Can you muster up anything? Are you whelmed at all?
I suppose it puts it to bed once and for all, John. 100% dead, confirms Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not too fussed.
Just like Boba himself.
Yeah. There seems to be a trend at the moment with Lucasfilm and Disney. With Bob Iger coming out and quashing these rumours about Kathleen Kennedy's job a few weeks ago, saying that she's been given an extension to her contract. That put that to bed, whether you like it or not. And now this one, I know that James Mangold, I don't know what to say, was pushing this project, but he certainly was interested in doing a Boba Fett movie. Yeah. And that sparked off all the rumours a couple of months ago. And since then, it's not really been put to bed, although we've heard from different sources that the standalone films, the Star Wars story films, are getting shelved for the time being, just now anyway. I'm pretty sure Bob Iger said this. And this is the president of Lucasfilm coming out now and saying 100% is not getting made. My personal views are I don't think it should have been getting made anyway. I think if there's any lessons to be learnt from the Solo film, which I enjoyed, is not to sort of go over old ground. I think that period has been covered. I think it's best if Boba Fett perhaps turns up maybe in one of these television series, perhaps The Mandalorian at some point, or referred to in the film. I'll be satisfied with that. I don't see a film being, for this character in particular, being stretched over a 2-hour film. I wouldn't be interested in that, I've got to be honest with you. No. I don't think there's a lot of depth to the character, to be honest with you. I think we got what we got from the backstory in the prequels, from Jango Fett passing the torch on to his son Boba, and how his likeness and that helmet as well was the sort of template for the stormtroopers. That's all we need from that sort of backstory. I'm kind of glad in a way as well, because I think with the Mandalorian television series coming out now, I think that Lucasfilm are putting all their focus on this now. I think this is going to be the turning point for Lucasfilm as well, after the bad rap they got after The Last Jedi and the performance of Solo. So I think this is going to be the turning point now. I think it's right that Kathleen Kennedy finally comes out and speaks on these rumours. I think it was maybe on Twitter that this was picked up on, but I'm glad to see
Entertainment Weekly, I think.
Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah,
so
guy spoke to him.
So I'm glad to see that there's confirmation that it's been put to bed once and for all. Not because I'm not a Boba Fett fan by any means, but I don't think there was any legs in making a standalone film in that. Maybe James Mangold had other ideas, but I think this guy is going to crop up anyway. I think Jon Favreau will probably be speaking to him at some point and asking him, does he fancy doing an episode of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I'm actually talking crap. It wasn't Entertainment Weekly, it was Eric Weber. I just seen EW and put 2 and 2 together and came up with 10. No, it's just some journalist apparently was speaking to Kathleen Kennedy, and she confirmed to him that the Fett movie is 100% dead and that they are focusing 100% on The Mandalorian. I actually spoke about this a couple of weeks ago in one of my solo shows, Stephen, where they did say there was a rumour that they were going to focus on The Mandalorian, push that to the forefront ahead of some of the films that they were obviously in the pipeline prior to it, just in an attempt to bring the fan base together. Obviously it's split. How much the degree that it's split, it's really up to each individual to make a decision. It could be 50-50, it could be 60-40. Personally, I think it's more closer to maybe 80-20%. 20% aren't happy, 80 are happy. But apparently they're going to push The Mandalorian, heavily pushing the merchandise side of things. They were filing for a lot of trademarks for various different goods and merchandise. So they're pushing this to the forefront. They're hoping to unite the fan base, and then they can go off for this second phase in a wholesome way, a more wholesome way, with a less divisive fan base. It's obviously going to be bickering and boycotting and releases and stuff. So I'm pleased in a way to see this. I want to see them go off and doing different things, going in a completely fresh direction. We've been criticising them continually going back and focusing on these characters that we've already seen, we've already explored to a degree in the saga films. It's a big old galaxy, a big old universe. You can go out there and focus on different characters, whole new characters. And this is what I'm most excited about with the Bine Off and Wise films, that they may be going off and doing something completely different, maybe going to the Old Republic, or maybe even just going and looking further into the uncharted sections of the galaxy, although I think that was Rian Johnson who was looking to do that. But this is something I'm most excited about these new trilogies after the saga one ends. The prospects of looking at all these various different new characters, not getting bogged down with the saga characters and the expectation and the burden that comes with that. I'm not really caring about Boba Fett anyway. As you did say, he's not that much of I just don't think he's an interesting character at all. He was a set dressing, really. He looked cool with his costume. It was an iconic costume, but he did nothing. He was a joke. He barely uttered a word. The first time we really see him getting thrust into any real action, Han makes him look like an absolute fool by bumping into him by accident. He's half blind and he falls and truddles down into the Sarlacc pit to die a pathetic death, although apparently he isn't even dead. He apparently crawled out of it, or exploded his way out of it. I don't hate the character, but I just don't think he's the most interesting character we could be exploring. I certainly don't think he's befitting of a whole film to himself. If he was to pop up, then I'd prefer to see him as part of some wider bounty hunter film or a underworld film, maybe connecting the likes of Darth Maul and Enfys Nest, maybe popping in as a side figure, and the likes of Kira and stuff like that. You look at the list of some of the interesting bounty hunters we've had as well over the years, and I'd prefer to see guys like that getting a shot in a film. The likes of IG-88, he's a very cool looking character. Dengar, Cad Bane from the Clone Wars and stuff like that, he's an incredible bounty hunter, much cooler than Boba Fett. If you're going to go and do a standalone film about a bounty hunter character, then I'd prefer to see these guys getting a shot than going off and trundling up all the same characters we've seen time and time again. As you did say, we've seen his backstory in the prequels. It's not like you can even go in and tell his backstory. We've seen how he came about. He was a clone. I suppose he's done some interesting things and seen some sights in the intervening years between the prequels and the original trilogy, but I'm not sad about this. I would much rather see an Obi-Wan film. If we're going to get a standalone film again in the similar nature to Solo, then it would be the Obi-Wan film I'd want, certainly not Boba Fett. I never wanted this. And as for James Mangold, I'm not too surprised that it's been canned either, because after his interactions with Rian Johnson, just on Twitter in general, about the backlash of fans and just the way they react to films, criticising and stuff like that, and before it's even released sometimes, I'm not surprised he's maybe stepped, it might be down to him stepping away that they've canned it, Stephen. He's probably said, screw this, I don't want to work with these man babies, as Rian Johnson called them. Yeah. Say what you want, it's a ridiculous comment he made, they shouldn't be getting involved in it, but it's true, for a large degree of these haters, that they are very man babish. They take it too close to heart. They don't accept other people's theories, even if they are ridiculous, some of them. You have to accept that the filmmaker's got a story to tell. It's his story, you can't tell it. You're just a fan. You don't like it, you don't go and see it. If you do like it, you continue putting your cash in. But reacting the way some of them do on Twitter and stuff like that, resort to bullying and hate's ridiculous. And you can't be surprised someone like Mangold's maybe stepped away. That may be a reason.
John, the handling of Luke Skywalker seems to be a sore point with a lot of these guys.
Me included.
But to be fair, Mark Hamill has said himself that, you know, the character of Luke Skywalker isn't his. He doesn't own the character. He just portrays it, and has the likeness of the character. You remember my reaction coming out of The Last Jedi when we were sitting in Starbucks? I was quite redundant. You know, I was quite disappointed with the film. Some of it anyway. I was mostly satisfied with the way it was handled, and it was really just the handling of Luke that I couldn't get my head round at that point. I've came round to it mostly now. I can understand why it was done, but I digress. This news, Kathleen Kennedy came out and finally putting the final nail in its coffin here by saying that it's 100% dead is something I'm going to take with a pinch of salt. Kathleen Kennedy's got previous of saying we've got this big announcement coming up at D23, etc., and then there's nothing. So I think from the response from her to this guy asking her the question, I think what she's saying here is the Boba Fett movie is 100% dead for the time being, because they are 100% focusing on the Mandalorian television series. That's not to say that Boba Fett as a character won't be seen again, but for the time being, Boba Fett movie is 100% dead.
That's actually something I forgot to mention as well, Stephen. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up in the Mandalorian if indeed he did crawl out of the Sarlacc pit. And I believe it was in the Aftermath or the Aftermath trilogy where it was heavily hinted that his hammer had popped up and that there was serious damage done to the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility he survived. He's a cool character, he's an interesting character, but he's not that interesting that he deserves his own standalone film.
No.
He's not get the pull, he's not an interesting enough character to pull off a 2-hour film like Han Solo and Lando and all of those side characters, Chewbacca. It's certainly not anywhere near as interesting as Obi-Wan, so I'm not disappointed. He'll pop up again in some vein if he's going to. If he isn't, that's just life. We move on. There's been a whole host of interesting side characters that have met their ends in Star Wars and they don't get to have their own standalone film to make up for it. It's just tough to.
Yes.
We're going to move on, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to move on, John, to our next topic, and this came in from movieweb.com, and it was something that actually we didn't pick up last week because we didn't know about it over here in the UK till we'd already did our previous recording. This is about John Williams, who was recently ill, but we've heard the news now from via movieweb.com that John Williams is on the road to recovery. Now, it doesn't really specify what was wrong with him. It was just an unknown illness. You've got to remember, this guy is still performing. Take away from the composing movies, he still performs at the likes of the Hollywood Bowl and stuff like that on an annual basis. He's 86 years old as well, John. You've got to remember that. But it's good to see that he is on the road to recovery. I know there's a lot of people speculating very early on when this news came out about his illness. Was the first thing they thought of was, is he going to manage to do episode 9? I don't think that was probably in John Williams' first thoughts when he became ill. But it seems to be a thing with Star Wars, the fan base. I can remember, I think after it was announced they were doing the prequel trilogy, I was praying that George Lucas wouldn't die, that kind of thing, but it's just crazy. John Williams is okay, he's on the mend. I'm glad to see it. Whether or not he can manage to do episode 9 will remain to be seen, but I don't really mind if he doesn't do it for the right reasons anyway. I'd rather see the guy live forever. He's been a big part of my growing up, not just in Star Wars but other movie franchises. Such a legendary composer, the likes of E.T., the Indiana Jones series, the list goes on. He's just Harry Potter as well, John. I think he did Jaws as well. The list just goes on, John. It's good to see that he's on the mend, but people have to remember he is 86 years old. Yes, he's not getting young. He's not getting any younger, and that's just a fact of life. Everybody gets older, and he's in his mid-80s now. He's an older man, he's an older gentleman, a very gifted, one of the all-time great gentlemen in terms of composing and film scores. To me, he's the greatest. I don't think there's anybody better than him. There's a few people out there close, but none quite as good. And it'd have been a travesty if anything had to have happened as a result of this illness, taking him into hospital. I did hear about the news last week, and I was concerned because I want to see the guy seeing out the saga trilogy and then getting off and retiring from Star Wars. I know that's probably not the first thing that was on his mind, but certainly on my mind, selfish git that I am. I wished him all the best, but I do hope that he recovers fully, and indeed it looks like he is on his way to a full recovery, and he can step in at the end of the year or whenever the time comes and score episode 9, because the guy's just got that bit of magic. He just knows how to take something on the screen and just make it better exponentially with his music. There's something about it. He scores, they're just magic. But we'll listen to the spark before we came on. Yeah. You see what you want about The Last Jedi. I do recall that score get a bit of flack because there wasn't any memorable new themes. It was more a combination of different classic themes, the likes of Han and Leia's theme and stuff like that. The likes of Yoda's theme mixing in with different things. There wasn't anything new and fresh there, but the spark is again perfect example of how you take something on the screen and you make it better exponentially with the music. He done a reworking of the classic Imperial March, made a more heroic version, and it makes everything you see, the meeting again between Luke and Leia, and then the face off with the First Order. Even that moment, I know the exact moment I'm listening to it when he winks to
C-3PO. It's just an incredible piece of music. And I'm just glad to see the guy's on the mend again. And I'm glad to see he's out of hospital. As you did say, he's still touring and doing shows annually. I wish he'd come here and do it because I'd love to see him. It'd be an incredible experience to see this guy live with his orchestra. He's just an absolute genius. In terms of if he hasn't to score the Star Wars Episode 9, who I'd like to see coming in, well, there's a couple of possibilities there. And like Sir Michael Giacchino again, getting his chance to come in and do it properly and not just doing it with 2 weeks' notice. You could have Kevin Kiner, who does Rebels, come in and do it. He's a great composer. There's a whole host of people who could come in and do it justice, but I really want to see this guy finishing the saga, the start of the Skywalker saga, and then maybe retiring from Star Wars, because he's not getting any younger, and you don't want to see him taking years off his life by continuing to go on and do this. But as I've seen in other places, sometimes the love of doing this, the love of his work, is maybe what's keeping them going, so you don't want to see him stopping and then going downhill. I tend to find, I've noticed it with my own grandparents as well, as soon as they stop working, getting out the house and socialising and doing what they did before, they drop and decline very dramatically afterwards. So sometimes it's best just to keep getting out. So I'm giving it on. Glad to see the guy's well again, well, relatively well. He's out of the hospital, he's making a recovery. It'd be an absolute travesty if anything was to happen to him. He's an absolute legend in terms of scoring, just in the cinema business, period. He's just an absolute legend.
It's unbelievable to think though, John, that back in 2005 when the Star Wars saga was supposed to have been done and dusted, John Williams was probably in his early 70s. He must have thought at that point, this is the the swan song, episode 3, this is the final Star Wars film I'm doing. 10 years on, he's still doing it. It's amazing, isn't it? But we're going to move on, John, to our next topic. This came in from digitalspy.com, and the title, this is going to be very self-explanatory. Star Wars Bothans might not actually be aliens after all. Now, this is obviously the reference. A lot of people get mixed up with this one in regards to where it comes from. A lot of people think it was from A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back. It was actually from Return of the Jedi. And this came from Mon Mothma, and
regarding the second Death Star.
Yeah, that's it. And many Bothans died to bring us this information.
And they died in vain.
Yeah,
as the Emperor reveals.
Yes, exactly. It was a ploy, but it was established that the Bothans were an alien race that looked like a cross between a werewolf and a humanoid goat. Yes. Right away, they're not very inconspicuous, are they? Looking like that, but they kind of stand out like a sore thumb, but especially from those graphics that Digital Spy have posted up in regards to...
I think that's from Battlefront back in the day.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Can you imagine them trying to infiltrate the Emperor, the Empire? What the hell? You need to put a Stormtrooper helmet on. How the hell do you get that fit? I don't understand how that works. Idiots, man. They couldn't
even put a hood up with that snout either, because it would be protruding out the hood as well. But I've got to be honest, John, that it's something I've not really given a lot of thought to. The Bothans, as far as I was aware, were just spies. I never actually regarded them as any kind of race or alien or anything. I didn't really give them much thought on their appearance or anything like that until I read this article. I didn't really know anything about them apart from they failed their mission. And
technically not.
Well, they didn't really, but they wasted their time and their lives. And the Emperor had the last laugh in regards to them. But it's a strange name as well, the Bothans. I always think of Ian Botham for some reason when I hear that name, but there you are.
Yeah, they were always shrouded in mystery when the Bothans. Nobody had a clue who the hell they were back in the day, until they started getting the expanded universe and they decided to make the ridiculous decision to make them goats.
I can't remember the lady's name who originally played Mon Mothma, but even the line delivery, it's so depressing, isn't it? Many Bothans died to give us this information. Yeah,
I just look at... what's his name? Crix Medine in the background, with that incredible hairdo. That's the scene for me. Not the Mon Calamari in the background, not the horrific line delivery, depressing, monotonous line delivery from Mon Mothma. No, it's that hairdo from Crix Medine. Unbelievably 70s, so 70s, and that beard, ridiculously dense for a fair-skinned man. Yes, he does look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and he's bizarrely holding a sort of, looks like a cane or some sorts, but yes, I digress. I'm getting sidetracked here. The Bothans, yeah, they were always shrouded in mystery, and then some idiot made the decision in the EU. I don't know if it was George or someone else. George was certainly not an idiot. I doubt he made them goats. But how when they were making them goat werewolf figures, where the hell in their minds did they think that would make any sort of logical sense with a race of aliens infiltrating the Empire to get steal plans for the second Death Star? It just doesn't make sense.
Matt Martin, he's one of the Lucasfilm story group. He says, and he said that the Bothans might not even be a species. I never thought they were. I thought they were a band of people.
This is the EU.
Like Rogue One were a band of people. I just thought that's what the Bothans were. I thought they were a group of spies, rebel spies, and I didn't think they were all specific to one species or race. Yeah,
that's the logical conclusion you'd take. A bit like Enfys Nest and her group of a gang that went about. I can't remember what they were called. I always forget their bloody names. They were like a speed gang. Digress. They went on speed and they were a gang on speeders. But yeah, that would be the logical conclusion. But this is EU and all its goofy ridiculousness for all the perils in there, like the Thrawn duology and trilogy, and some great moments and characters introduced like Mara Jade and Grand Admiral Thrawn. You get these ridiculous things when they make the Bothans goats. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's been completely retconned, and now people, the Cloud Riders, and now people are going to get their knickers in a twist over this as well and say it's an absolute disgrace. Bring back the EU. No, don't bring back the EU. For the overwhelming majority of that thing, it was just an utter pile of steaming crap, bantha poodoo, so Boba would say. He's right. He says, I just thought they died. What if they're more like a nationality? It just says they died. What if they're more like a nationality? That's what I thought. They were just a nationality. They're just a group of undergang infiltrators, much like the likes of Greedo, but donning disguises, much like the disguise that Leia donned in the Return of the Jedi. I've never ever seen them as these goofy goats until the EU. I started delving into the EU and it says they were, and then it made no sense to me whatsoever, but I digress. I ain't got much more to add to that.
No, I've got nothing to add, John. I've lost interest in this topic. I'll be honest with you. I don't really care about the Bothans. Bunch of losers. But we're going to move on to our next topic, John, which is of interest because we're getting to a period that is going to be very interesting for Star Wars Episode 9. But according to Inverse.com, this is an article about 2 reasons that the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer won't release at the Super Bowl. I'll let you in, John, with your thoughts first.
Yeah, well, the 2 reasons are that one, Mike Zero is the guy who perpetrated this original rumour. I think I actually spoke about this a couple of weeks back, and I did mention it was Mike Zero, so you can take it with a mountain-sized pinch of salt, because the guy talks so much utter shite that it's incredible. And on a daily basis, as they say in this article, he fires out these unimaginable rumours. They're questionable, but he gets them and he keeps getting views. People keep going and watching this clown. And then you see the second reason being that it doesn't fit with Disney's pattern. As I said a couple of weeks ago, it doesn't fit with their pattern. It would be way too late to release a trailer during the Super Bowl. It's in the beginning to mid-February. I feel that's too late. I feel like they have to get some positive news out there in amongst the Mandalorian stuff about this culminative end to the saga trilogy, the sequel trilogy. Get some positivity out there, and I think we'll get a title very soon. I think we'll get a teaser trailer around about Thanksgiving. I think we've seen that over the years. I'm sure that's a pattern we've seen. If not Thanksgiving, then certainly around about late November, early December. I don't think we'll have to wait until the Super Bowl. It's way too late. I'm not saying we won't get a trailer in the Super Bowl. I think we may get maybe a second teaser trailer, much like we got in The Force Awakens. The first one, it was Finn popping up the light in the dark. Then we get another teaser trailer, and then we'll get our first proper trailer and look at the film during Celebration next year. That's what I see happening. I may be wrong. I might be another Mike Zero on the other side saying that we're getting a teaser trailer during Thanksgiving, but the guy talks so much crap. He's just anybody with a modicum of sense who knows this guy would know that he talks crap. I hope he's right with the Leia thing, with the rotoscoping into scenes and I'm having a moment with Kylo Ren, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, just the way that Lucasfilm have went about this trilogy. First and foremost, there was a trailer, as you said, John. That there's been an Awakening one that came out round about November 2014, I think it was.
Yes.
We then got another one, I think round about April or May, I can't remember. It was round about just before the summer of 2015, and then we got our final trailer, the one where Rey is in the Star Destroyer, Savage and stuff. Came out, I think, November time 2015, a month before the film's release. I don't know if we're going to get a teaser trailer this side of the year. The purpose of that one was reintroducing Star Wars back into society after a decade, and it was enough to get people excited. We had a scene with Finn as a deserted stormtrooper.
We the reactions to that, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't really know too much about his backstory at that point. We didn't really know anything about the character. We then got introduced to Kylo Ren, or the back side of Kylo Ren igniting that lightsaber.
Sadly didn't make the final film.
No, it was quite an imposing scene as well. Kind of lankiness about him, kind of creepy, and that mask on. And then that was the first time we saw that lightsaber as well.
Yeah.
And then we got the voice. We weren't sure. We knew it was Andy Serkis's voice, but we weren't sure of the character at that point, and if that was going to be the character that was going to turn out to be Snoke. We then got the trailer, the one that Luke narrates about the Force and his family. One that was a terrific trailer, that as well. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was excellent. That's landscape of the downed Star Destroyer in the desert as well, which we all assumed was Tatooine. And it kicked on from there. The Han and Chewie bit right at the very end of that trailer was epic. We're home. And then we get the final trailer. The one, as I said, it really just... it just built everything up for that last 4 or 5 weeks before the film's release. But I think it's going to be different this time. I don't know if we're going to get a trailer this side of the year, to be honest with you, John. I don't think we're in that kind of position now. I think with the likes of Resistance, coming out, all the news about The Mandalorian coming out now, each and every day, as you know, this is how we pull this show together. There's Star Wars news every day, little snippets, little rumours. Some of it's crap, some of it's true, some of it excites us, some of it's quite irrelevant, like the Bothans. But it's all there now. Prior to that first teaser trailer back in November 2014, we didn't have any Star Wars news. You remember that website, theforce.net, John?
Yeah.
That was practically shut down for nearly a decade. Nothing was happening on it.
Yes.
And then it just all blew up once again. So I don't think we're going to get a trailer this side of the year anyway.
I hope you're wrong.
So did I mean, I can watch trailers all day. I still go back to the Force Awakens trailers every now and again just to watch them.
Yeah, they're absolutely superb. The music, I was speaking about that in that show as well, Stephen, because it was a speculation that John Williams was doing his own track, prequel heavy track, to hint that we were going to delve into that part of the saga in episode 9, that he was going to form his own track for the trailer that was coming up. And it says that the music and the lead up to The Force Awakens was some music solely made for the trailers that were epic. But apparently there's a pattern. Whether they follow that pattern, I don't know. It really remains to be seen. But I don't think it will debut as late as February. I really can't see that. I think we'll get the full trailer in April, and there'll be a teaser some point between the now and maybe the beginning of the year. Somewhere in that time range is where I think it will fit in, but I can't say for any real certainty, because I'm not Kathleen Kennedy, I'm not Bob Iger. I don't have any sway on these things. But we're going to move on to the final topic in this week's Horse Friday show. It's all about fans being worried about a new leak regarding Star Wars Episode 9, and if it will have another Death Star adjacent super weapon popping up. Apparently this leak came from, I don't know where it's came from, to be honest with you, Stephen. I think it was express.co.uk. So again, much like Mike Zero, it's probably came from Mike Zero, because they pick up a lot of things from Mike Zero. But the details in the scene, apparently it was leaked, featured Kylo Ren and plans of a new Death Star contraption, or a new Death contraption. He's examining 3 large super weapons that are in cylindrical shape with an enormous engine on each side of each super weapon. This weapon apparently is destroying terrain on a planet. The engine burner is coloured red, and the blast from the bottom of these 3 massive weapons is coloured blue, impacting a surface, causing astronomical destruction. parts of the weapon seem to be under construction and not yet finished. Again, this hints back to the connections between this, the parallels between this and the Return of the Jedi we spoke about. I don't know whether it was last week or the week before last week, and there was hints that Leia, in a cut scenes from The Force Awakens in The Last Jedi, was meeting with some mysterious group who had their hands on a super weapon. So I don't know whether this is indeed signs that the First Order have got their hands on another super weapon, or are manufacturing another super weapon, or if indeed it's maybe a flip and we're getting Bothans on the First Order side, stealing plans of a resistance super weapon that maybe Leia's managed to get her hands on. Either way, I don't really give a damn. It's not causing me any real alarm. I don't care either way. Super weapons have been something that's been synonymous with Star Wars throughout the whole saga trilogy. You're going to have something that's going to swing the balance of power in either side's way. It would probably bother me more if the First Order have yet again manufacturing a Death Star or a super weapon, because it just seems to be the pattern we seem to see again and again and again. I'd rather see it be what we discussed, Leia maybe getting her hands on a super weapon that will swing the balance of power in the way of the Resistance and the Republic, New Republic, and away from Kylo Ren and the First Order. So I don't really give a damn. It's just as long as it isn't another spherical Death Star type super weapon. That's been done to the death. At least give us something different. They're hinting in this article that it could be something like what we've seen with Darth Raven, I believe it was, and I forget what the hell it was called, but it was an intriguing, I think it was a Starforge it was called, that harvested materials from the object it was destroying. It landed and then it destroyed the planet from below, so that'd be something totally different. And indeed I think they mentioned like world devastators maybe what they're going for this time, so it's a different concept, but it's a super weapon and I don't care. It's something we've seen in Star Wars again and again and again, and it's like poetry, as George did say. It repeats itself.
There's two things that are going to be guaranteed in this movie, John, especially in its climax, is you're going to have a grand assault in some fashion, whether it be on a super weapon or not, or one of these space battle with perhaps one of these dreadnought type vehicles, or you're going to, as you said, get some kind of Death Star or Star Killer base. You're going to get something like that. You're also going to get the sort of personal conflict at the very end as well, similar to Luke, Vader, Emperor, or perhaps in this case it might be Rey, Kylo Ren and Luke. I'm not sure. There'll be a triangle in there somewhere. There's going to be a lot of conflict and maybe Anakin. Yeah, you're right, John, on a personal level, but you're going to get that big grand space battle as well, I'm sure. Personally, you know, J.J. Abrams has got previous about rehashing a lot of stuff, especially with The Force Awakens. I got that. It was a reboot of the franchise, and I understood that they were trying to play it safe in that first episode, episode 7. The other thing about J.J. Abrams is as well, he's a man that's good at setting up things. He did so well with the Star Trek brand as well. I've yet to see him doing a conclusion to a story. So this is going to be, I think this is really going to test his limits and test his skills as a writer and a director. But I've got every faith that he'll manage to pull this off. We're getting these rumours already that there's going to be a lot of references back to the prequel trilogy. A lot of people are not like that. I don't mind it because it's part of a 9-episode saga, and whether you like it or not, those first 3 episodes are part of the canon. They are part of the story and where we are right now, and I don't think it's going to be oversaturated with prequel references. I think you perhaps might get a reference to maybe Padme, you might get a reference to Anakin. I don't think we're going to get right down to those hideous aliens, they've gone up the ventilation shaft. I don't think we're going to get references to every species out there. I think it's just going to be some of the main players. Palpatine might be referenced as well. A lot of people are speculating that he might be involved in this. I hope not, because that would take away the story of Return of the Jedi and how that finished. But it's interesting. I don't really have much more to say on regards to the weapon itself, if they're going to go down that road. Well, I'd like to see them try something different, I've got to be honest with you, but I really can't see what it could be, unless it's some piece of technology a la the Independence Day, where the aliens used the Earth's satellites to connect maybe there's something they could do there. I don't know, maybe you need different pieces. Something similar to Infinity War, where Thanos needed all these stones to complete this weapon that he had. I don't know. There's room for other ideas as well, but it being the final episode of this saga, I can't see them doing anything other than another rehash over some super weapon. And because it's J.J. Abrams, I think that's the road they're going to go down.
Yes, and again, it just depends on which side has it. That will really determine whether I'm happy with it or not. But I digress. I'll be watching it anyway, and I'll be waiting with bated breath to see just what exactly he's done, whether he could conclude the saga in a way which will unite and make everybody happy. I doubt that, because no one will ever come out of a film happy, ever. But I'm not going to give it on. I'm not going to go into the whole conflict between fans and division and stuff like that again. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Force Friday show, where we discuss all things Star Wars. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us once again, and we'll be back next Tuesday with Box Office Chat.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.